Olá! Hi guys! Hi everyone! Can you hear me? I'm checking everything, checking if the streaming is okay. So, mm, let me see if you can hear me. Mm, so, welcome guys! Boa noite! Now I can see your comments. I couldn't see them before, but now I can. So, boa noite! Boa noite para todo mundo! Eu adoraria saber de onde vocês falam. Então, digam aí no chat de onde você está falando. So, tell us where are you guys talking? Where are you guys from? So, you can use the chat to tell us. We would love to know, as always, where you guys are from and to interact with each other. So let me see. Yes, I'm already having some nice feedback from you. The audio is okay, right? So, Olá! Hi everyone! Uh, Pink Pearl is saying, hi, new teacher. New? Yeah, maybe I'm new for you, but I'm quite old, guys. So I'm Pearl. I can only come on YouTube. I'm unable to work, and I'm still trying to figure out why WhatsApp's not downloading on my phone. Oh, so, but it's not so tricky. Maybe then we can help you with this stuff. But anyway, you can maybe update your app. Maybe that's the problem. But anyway, welcome. I'm glad to have you here, guys. I think YouTube is an amazing platform to have classes. If you have been here before, you know it. So we do classes twice a week, right? So one on Tuesdays evening and another one on Thursdays afternoon at 1 p.m. New York time, 2 p.m. Brazilian time. But the platform provided from YouTube is much better because we can use the whiteboard, you know. So I can type things for you, show you things, and at the same time you can see me. So it's much better. That's why we insist for you to be here with us now and not only on Instagram. I know that sometimes for you who use Instagram, sometimes it's easier, but here it's much better, and you're going to see that. Don't forget to use the chat, guys, whenever you want. So if you have any questions during this class, if you didn't understand something, or if you want to have something clear, you can use it the whole time, okay? I'm going to check it during the class so I can see if you have questions and comments, okay? So it's awesome to have this interaction with you guys, so don't hesitate, do that, okay? I would like to welcome you all. I can see you guys answering my first question. So Nino Station, for example, he's saying, I'm from Brazil. Okay, Nino. But are you learning Portuguese? Is that true or not? Pink Pearl is saying, I'm from Louisiana, USA. So that's nice. So the southern US, right? Cool. Charles, hi Charles, it's so nice to see you here. USA, so Jean, she's saying, eu sou dos Estados Unidos, North Carolina, right? You probably would say that in Portuguese, Carolina do Norte. Like we say when we are talking about the Americas, we say América do Norte, América Central e América do Sul, right? So welcome. Candace saying eu de Los Angeles, so she's from Los Angeles. So that's very nice, guys. Welcome, welcome to our class. Sejam muito bem-vindos à nossa aula. I'm pretty excited. What about you? I hope you are also excited because we have some important stuff to check this class, right? As you probably saw before, because we sent you a mail and also some messages through WhatsApp. Today we are going to talk about this specific verb tense, which maybe it's a bit weird, especially for you who speak English because you don't have something equivalent. So maybe that's why it's tricky, which is the subjunctive present. I'm using the name of this verb tense in Portuguese, guys, because I think it's good for you to start to be used to hear the name of the tenses, the grammatical structures in Portuguese, because probably that's what you're going to find when you look at grammar books, when you study, when you look at things when trying to learn Portuguese, right? And that's also a way to be more familiar with the terms that we use to design many aspects of the language, right? So our topic then is subjuntivo presente. We can also say presente do subjuntivo. So, just to clarify, I think it's nice for you to understand that subjuntivo, guys, is one of the modes that the verbal structure of the Portuguese language has. So we have basically three modes. We have the indicative, the subjunctive, and the imperative, okay? So the imperative is the one we use in another class in more detail. The indicative is probably the most used one. It's the one where we find most of the verb tenses we study, and the first ones we study when we are learning Portuguese. So for example, inside the indicative you can find present, future, all the pasts you have probably seen before, like present perfect, present imperfect from Portuguese, right? Because you know that you don't have an equivalent verb tense in English, right? And so on. So the subjunctive, or as we say, subjuntivo, is this other kind of mode where we have only three verb tenses. So that's the good news. We don't have lots of verb tenses on it as we have with the indicative. So it's only three. And actually we decided to do this class because some students have asked us to explain the subjunctive. And as we have three verb tenses inside this mode, and they are pretty complex. Actually, we could divide this class into many others, right? We decided to talk about each verb tense at a time. Okay, so today we are focusing on the present subjunctive. Okay, and later in another class I can talk to you about the other two verb tenses we have on the subjunctive present. Okay, so to not be confused, we decided to not cover them all in one class only because it would be confusing since they have many different aspects of use of formation, you know. So that's our goal today, to focus on the present subjunctive. So just for me to know, I would love to know if you have heard about this verb tense before and if you have already studied this verb tense or not. Okay, so you can use the chat here and tell me. Tell me if you have already studied, if you haven't, if you have never heard about it before, it's okay, okay? And if you have already heard about it, it's also okay, okay? So let me check the chat. So Tommy, hey Tommy, boa noite, tudo bem? I hope you will feel fine. Candace says she's excited, tô animada. Very cool, eh? Very cool. So, yeah, Nino, you were right. So, the indicative in general indicates ideas of certitude, things which are certain, okay? And the subjunctive is more related to possibilities, to hypotheses, and that's right. You are right. Okay. So Jeannie is asking, give me an example of what exactly, Jeannie? Can you clarify what you want me to give you an example of the subjunctive? Because we are going to talk about it, okay? We are just about to start. Know how difficult it is to find good content to study Portuguese online, right? If you have been studying Portuguese for a while, you have already faced this problem. It's hard to find materials, good content, good classes. So if you can, share with other people so they can know about us. And also, if you like this class, give us a like, okay? It's important because this way more people can know about us, okay? Okay, so Jeannie, you wanted an example of the subjunctive, right? We are going to see this, okay? This is the whole focus of our class, okay? So you were answering me. Charles said that he never heard about it, so nunca, okay? Tommy saying, I have heard it mentioned. I am having a hard time staying well. Oh, Tom. But let's everyone wish him good recovery. I hope you recover fast, right? We are hoping and praying for your recovery, okay? So RVT saying, I've never heard of it, but I have it, go. Pink Pearl said, never heard of it. I'm still a beginner, okay? And Nino is giving some examples. Okay, so so let's start, guys. We can go now, and we are going to start with a video. If you have received the material, the study material for this class, you got this material, and in the end of it, there's a transcription, okay? If you have this material, don't pick this transcription now. I would like to invite you to watch and listen to this transcription without the to watch this video, sorry, without the transcriptions, okay? Because then we can start this class by practicing our oral comprehension, okay? So doing this listening practice, okay? So forget about the material if you have it. Let's just watch this video. Let's go. Yep. So let me find it for you guys. So let me see if you can see it already. I guess you can. So let's go. I'm gonna play, and as I told you, I want you to focus on what's being said. Let's go.
A depressão é um incômodo, mas aos poucos, muito lentamente, ela está saindo do armário. Artistas e famosos já começam a relatar a luta contra a doença. Uma ajuda e tanto para a gente que nem sabe que sofre desse mal e para as famílias que não entendem aquele tipo, às vezes, caladão ou nervoso, às vezes sem ânimo, que está lá dentro de casa. Por que que ainda temos tanta dificuldade em encarar a depressão em meio a tanta imperfeição? Por que esse estigma? Para ajudar a gente a entender melhor esse fantasma, o Saia Justa de hoje recebe com o maior prazer, mais uma vez nesse sofá, o Dr. Drauzio Varela! Essa série que o senhor está fazendo para o Fantástico sobre a depressão, ela é absolutamente genial. A começar pelo título. O título é Não Está Tudo Bem, Mas Vai Ficar. É um título absolutamente otimista e que já traz uma carga de esperança enorme para quem sofre de depressão. Ou seja, depressão tem solução.
Tem solução, nem sempre fácil, mas tem solução. E nem sempre fácil porque a maioria das vezes as pessoas não reconhecem o que é um quadro depressivo, né? É muito comum você ter isso em famílias, uma pessoa que vai ficando triste, vai se desinteressando das coisas, e a família não entende, fica cutucando, não, você tem que reagir, vamos no aniversário do sobrinho. Esse é o problema, e aí eles acabam procurando ajuda quando o quadro fica grave, né?
Não, na verdade não é maldade das pessoas,
não.
É por querer ajudar e por falta de conhecimento acabam não se diagnosticando ou não procurando ajuda para aquele estado que a pessoa está.
Eu acho que são tem dois lados dessa questão. Ou seja, primeiro, a gente gosta de estar perto de pessoas alegres, né? Pessoas alegres, para cima, otimistas, né? Que contem piadas, que a gente dê risada perto deles. A gente tem prazer de estar do lado de gente assim.
É mais fácil.
Mais fácil, né? Quando você convive com alguém que, ao contrário, tem uma visão pessimista, tudo que vê do pior lado possível, que não tem ânimo para fazer as coisas, que vai se fechando dentro de si mesmo, vai se afastando dos outros, incomoda a gente. Incomoda, está sempre assim, está sempre triste, está sempre chateado. E as pessoas se afastam. E aí acabam deixando aquele que está deprimido, que está entrando num quadro depressivo mais solitário, o que agrava a depressão.
Okay, guys, so I would like to check if you could understand quite well the audio. Is that okay? Are you listening to the audio from the video? Well, while I wait for your answer, just let me help you with this video a little bit. This is a TV show called, in Portuguese, Saia Justa. So, Saia Justa, okay? So, do you know what this means? It means, I won't say it. I'll wait for you to guess what it means, okay? I'll just give you the meaning, not the literal meaning. Saia justa means a situation, a hard situation where you have to find the way to escape from it or just to handle it, you know? But this is not the literal translation, so try to guess, okay? But anyway, this is a Brazilian show, TV show, where 4 women are reunited to discuss different topics every week, okay? And sometimes they invite people to join them on their discussion. So we are going to listen to and watch the video a second time. So I would love to ask you to pay attention to what they discuss and try to understand the content of the discussion, okay? Just try. I know if you are a beginner, it will be harder, but try to guess some words and then we are going to discuss it later, okay? So the woman who appears in the beginning is the main host. The other ones are the ones who discuss the topics with her. And the man who is invited to join them is a doctor. Okay? So let's listen to it a second time. Now, if you do have the transcriptions, you can use the material, okay? And as it is only in Portuguese, you can guess what is being discussed, okay? So, let's go.
A depressão é um incômodo, mas aos poucos, muito lentamente, ela está saindo do armário. Artistas e famosos já começam a relatar a luta contra a doença. Uma ajuda e tanto para a gente que nem sabe que sofre desse mal e para as famílias que não entendem aquele tipo, às vezes, caladão ou nervoso, às vezes sem ânimo, que está lá dentro de casa. Por que ainda temos tanta dificuldade em encarar a depressão em meio a tanta imperfeição? Por que esse estigma? Para ajudar a gente a entender melhor esse fantasma, o Saia Justa de hoje recebe com o maior prazer, mais uma vez nesse sofá, o Dr. Drauzio Varela! Essa série que o senhor está fazendo para o Fantástico sobre a depressão, ela é absolutamente genial. A começar pelo título. O título é Não Está Tudo Bem, Mas Vai Ficar. É um título absolutamente otimista e que já traz uma carga de esperança enorme para quem sofre de depressão. Ou seja, depressão tem solução.
Tem solução, nem sempre fácil, mas tem solução. E nem sempre fácil porque a maioria das vezes as pessoas não reconhecem o que é um quadro depressivo, né? É muito comum você ter isso em famílias, uma pessoa que vai ficando triste, vai se desinteressando das coisas, e a família não entende, fica cutucando, não, você tem que reagir, vamos no aniversário do sobrinho. Esse é o problema, e aí eles acabam procurando ajuda quando o quadro fica grave, né?
Não, na verdade não é maldade das pessoas,
não.
É por querer ajudar e por falta de conhecimento acabam não se diagnosticando ou não procurando ajuda para aquele estado que a pessoa está.
Eu acho que são tem dois lados dessa questão. Ou seja, primeiro, a gente gosta de estar perto de pessoas alegres, né? Pessoas alegres, para cima, otimistas, né? Que contem piadas, que a gente dê risada perto deles. A gente tem prazer de estar do lado de gente assim.
É mais fácil.
Mais fácil, né? Quando você convive com alguém que, ao contrário, tem uma visão pessimista, tudo que vê do pior lado possível, que não tem ânimo para fazer as coisas, que vai se fechando dentro de si mesmo, vai se afastando dos outros, incomoda a gente. Incomoda, pô, está sempre assim, está sempre triste, está sempre chateado. E as pessoas se afastam. E aí acabam deixando aquele que está deprimido, ou que está entrando num quadro depressivo mais solitário, o que agrava a depressão.
Well, guys, some of you told us that the sound is not perfect and I feel sorry about it. We try to cover this problem. I'm not sure what is going on, but anyway, we won't do this exercise of listening anymore in this class, so maybe I can share with you this video and you can do it again later, okay? Because you have the study material with the transcription and you can try to listen to it later, okay? So sorry, but we'll try to figure out what happened. But anyway, for those who could understand, because some of you told me that you could understand, although it was like having a background, you could understand. So let's try just to clarify some aspects of this discussion. So, could you understand what was the topic of this small talk here? While you answer in the chat, I'm just going to answer you about the expression, which is the name of the TV show, saia justa. So, saia justa, guys, literally means tight skirt, you know? So imagine you wear a tight skirt. It's a very hard thing to wear because you don't feel comfortable, it's hard to walk. So we use this expression to talk about difficult topics. So, and one of these difficult topics was the topic discussed on this video we just saw. So yes, some of you have already guessed they were talking about depression, okay? And then right? I won't translate line by line, guys, because our focus today is the presente do subjuntivo. But just to have you, to give you an idea, the host starts saying that depression is a problem which is slowly coming out from the closet, you know, like it's starting to be more and more discussed. And she says that celebrities started to talk about it in a clear way, in an open way. So these have been helping people. And she starts to ask some things like, why do we have such a hard time trying to deal with this? Why is there still a stigma in the society? And then to start the discussion, she invites the doctor called, you can see here his name, Dr. Drauzio Varela. Dr. Drauzio Varela. He's a pretty famous doctor here in Brazil, not because he's like a celebrity, but because he does lots of interesting content for public. It's very interesting to study about his history, guys. So if you have time, Google it, you will know more about him. He makes lots of campaigns and TV shows trying to warn people about important stuff related to health, right? So he comes, and then she starts saying that he has just begun a new TV show which has this title, this name, Não está tudo bem, mas vai ficar, meaning things are not fine, but they will be, right? Something like this. And then she says that although depression is something hard, it has a solution. And then he says that it has a solution, but the problem is that the family doesn't know how to handle it, how to deal with the person who has this problem. So Astrid agrees. She says it's just a lack of knowledge of how to approach this problem. And then the doctor Varela says that he thinks that there are two sides of this problem, because normally people likes to be close to happy people, to optimistic people, because it's easier. And then these kind of people who are very pessimist, very sad about everything, they make people go away from them. And that's even worse, because this person who is getting depressed or who is already depressed, by being even more isolated, it tends to be worse his or her disease, the depression, okay? So that's the problem. So that's the cut we have from this piece. In some part, they used the subjunctive presente, presente do subjuntivo. And we are going back soon to check where they use it. But before, let's finally understand how this verb tense is used, guys. So let's check everything about it. Just before going there, let me see if you have any questions. So Pink Pearl is saying, I do have depression. It ties in with my anxiety and autism. Too much to keep with my family, as well as being overwhelmed by a lot of everything. I feel sorry, Pink Pearl. I'm not a specialist on it, not at all. But from what I know about it, the best thing to do is always find a professional to help, right, with this. And Charles is asking about the word chateado. It's like if someone does something with you and let you down, you can say you are chateado. I feel down about it. I'm upset about it. I'm chateado. Eu tô chateado. Okay? So, talking about the subjuntivo presente. As I told you, we have 3 modes in Portuguese. So, let me show you. So, we have indicativo, subjuntivo e imperativo, right? Today we are focusing on subjuntivo. While indicativo is more about certain aspects of life, subjuntivo talks more about the possibilities, the hypotheses that can happen in life. And imperativos used to give orders, okay? So these 2 things are very important about this mode. The idea of hypothesis, so talking about things that can or cannot happen, just hypothetically, and about possibilities, things that can or cannot happen, okay? We can also use the present of the subjunctive, specifically now talking about this verb tense, the present of the subjunctive. We can talk about things in the present or even giving some idea of the future when we're, for example, making a wish to someone. Let me give you some examples. Imagine I say this, tomara que, so let me put in here, tomara que eles saibam falar português. Can you guess what I just said? So, tomara que eles saibam falar português. This means something like, I hope they can speak Portuguese. So imagine you are going to a place and you don't know everyone and you can't speak the language they are talking, so you just hope for someone to speak Portuguese with you because you do know how to speak Portuguese, okay? So you say, I hope they can speak Portuguese. So, just for you to know, this verb in here, it's in the subjuntivo presente. And actually, in this sense here, it means something in the present. I hope they can speak Portuguese, right? Tomara que eles saibam falar português. But I can use the subjuntivo presente also to talk about ideas for the future. For example, eu espero que você vá bem na prova. Something like, I hope you will do well, you will have a good grade on the test, okay? So this verb over here, the verb ir, is also in the subjuntivo presente. But when I say, I hope you will do well, I hope you will have a good grade, a good note on the exam, on the test, I'm talking about the future, right? So I can use this time also to talk about these ideas of future, especially with this sense of wish, okay? So, coming back to the material, let's now understand, however, how this verb tense is composed, because I just showed you two situations, here talking about present and here talking about an idea of future, right? But let's check how this verb tense works, how we conjugate a verb, any verb in this verb tense. Let's just see, guys. So here I provide you this table where you can see what you have to do to put a verb in the presente do subjuntivo. So here in the left side we can see all the people we have. Eu, você, ele, ela, a gente, nós, vocês, eles, elas, okay? So we have 4 lines because você, ele, ela, and a gente, the 4 of them work the same way, right? And also here in the last line, vocês, eles, and elas also have the same behavior, okay? So in reality, we only have 4 different conjugations, right? In the case of the subjuntivo presente, it's even easier because in practice, we only have 3 different ways, 3 different forms of the verb, as you're going to see. So what do we have to do? So we have basically to do what you can see in here. We have the radical of the verb, and then we just add each of these morphemes, we can say, in here. So just for you to understand what radical means, let me show you in here. The radical, guys, is the part of the verb which contains some kind of meaning, the basic structure of this verb. So, for example, if I have the verb contar, do you agree with me that this part can change a lot, this AR, AR, but the part that comes before these 2 letters rarely will change, right? Or never will change in the regular verbs. So this part without the vowel and the R of the infinitive form is what we call radical. So basically, when you have to put a verb in the subjuntivo presente, you just pick a verb like the verb amar. You just take off the vowel, the thematic vowel, which can be A, E, or I, right? And the R. So you just do that. So for example, if we have the verb amar, comer, and dormir, to find the radical, I just take off ar, for this case, er, and for this case, er, okay? So basically, what we do is to get the radical and then just add these letters after this little tracing here, okay? So for example, here I put for you this example of each conjugation. So the verb contar, right? So let me put the same examples here. So contar would be conte, right? The other verbs are correr and partir. Correr would be cor. Partir would be parte, right? So these are the radicals of these three verbs. So for the first person singular, eu, we can see here that we have the radical plus letter E. So I just add here letter E if I want to put this verb in the first person singular. So I would have eu conte. Okay? And here, let's check. For the verbs from the second conjugation, verbs which end with er in the infinitive form, we would have to add letter A for the first person singular, eu, I, okay? So then, letter A, if I want to put this verb in the first person singular, I would have eu corra. For the third conjugation, verbs which end with IR, they add the letter A either. So then we would have eu parta. Okay? Just for you to see how it works. So, to recap, to put a verb in the subjuntivo presente, we have to find the radical of each verb. We just learned that to find the radical, we pick a verb in the infinitive form, like the verb amar, and we take off the two last letters, the vowel and the R. Then we have the radical, okay? And then, after you have the radical, you just add the letters that we indicate here in the materials. It seems to be a bit tough, but in practice, you can see that we only have three forms for each conjugation. Because here you can see that the first and the third person singular are the same. Can you see here that we have the same form? Both end with E, here both end with A, and here both. We have something else. I told you that we have only three forms in practice, right? And we have even less than that, because if we look at the conjugation of the verbs from the second and the third conjugation, verbs in ER and IR, we can see that they have the same structure. So in practice, we only have one here, 2, 3, 4 in here, 5, 6 forms. Okay? Do you understand? If you cannot understand, you can tell me. Okay? Use the chat, guys. But if you can follow, just keep up. Keep up following. Here you have the whole examples of these verbs, and then you can see that here we have, as I told you, the same form for first, second, and third person singular. Conte, conte, corra, corra, parta, parta, okay? A different form for first person plural and a different form for third and second person plural, okay? Well, of course, we would have some irregular verbs, guys. And with these cases, we don't have much to do other than memorize their forms. The good news is that normally irregular verbs in every language are the verbs most used. That's why they can be irregular, because we use them a lot, then we have less trouble memorizing them, okay? So here I put this list of some of the irregular verbs, and as you can see, they are verbs very much used. That's why it's easier to memorize. So the verb to be, ser, to have, ter, to go, ir, to can, poder, to know, saber, to do or to make, fazer, and to give, dar, okay? I put, guys, for you to help you, the first person singular of each of these irregular verbs, just for you to see how they are different and to help you to already memorize them, okay? When I say that a verb is irregular, I mean that we cannot find their form in the subjuntivo presente by doing this structure here, just picking the radical and adding these terminations. If I say that a verb is irregular, it means it probably won't follow this rule. Maybe because they won't have the endings we just saw in here, or maybe because we can't find the radical and just add the termination, because sometimes they change the radical, okay? That's what happens here with the verbs ser, ter, ir. Can you see that they change a lot? The radical is not just taking off the last vowel and R and just add something else. Just giving us a glimpse on these verbs, you can see that they change the radical. That's why they are irregular. So these verbs, we don't have a choice. We have to memorize and practice them, okay? And guys, this is very important, right? Just before going there, I would like to remember, of course, this is a class about the subjuntivo presente. I just show you how to put a verb in this verb tense, how it works for irregular verbs. We talked about the situations where we use them, for example, to express possibilities, to express hypotheses, to talk about wishes, but to really observe all of these, guys, you have to practice, right? You have to do exercise, you have to try to put verbs in this tense. Only one verb is not enough to make you really master this new verb tense, right? It's just a way to face this new verb tense, to understand how it works, but to really start to use it in your daily life conversations, you have to do more, right? But you can start with the regular ones maybe, because I think when you master the regular ones, you are ready to like observe the irregular forms, okay? So maybe it's a good idea to start with the regular ones and then you memorize the irregular ones. As I told you, the regular ones we have to really memorize. But guys, it seems to be difficult, but when you start to use them, you're going to see that they are more common than it seems, and then it will be therefore easier to use them, okay? So the important thing I would like to show is now the real secret of the subjunctive present. So are you ready? I'm about to tell you the secret of how to use the subjuntivo presente in the right way. Check this, guys. This is like the real secret to use it correctly, because the subjuntivo presente appears with some specific expressions, and that's really helpful, because if you are still a little bit confused about how to use it, we have some specific words that when you see them, you know that the verb that comes after them have to be or has to be in the subjuntivo presente. And these are expressions like this one over here, guys. Eu espero que. Something like I wish that or I hope that. Okay? The other one is eu acredito que. I believe that. Or something like tomara que. I hope that. I wish that. So, as you can see, they are variations of one same fact. Okay? Most of them express hope, wishes about something that can be already happening or of something that can happen in the near future. Okay? That's why we talked about the fact that this verb tense is related both to present and to future. Okay? So if you see an expression like this one, you know that the verb that comes next to it has to be in the subjuntivo presente, okay? Another expression of this is talvez, talvez. This word will also demand the next verb to be in the subjuntivo presente. So, for example, if I say, guys, something like oops, here we go. So, eu espero que você So, imagine I want to put in the brackets a verb like sair, okay? To go out. So the sentence is, I hope you go out tonight, okay? So, if I saw here this expression, eu espero que, I already know that the verb that comes after it, the verb sair in this case, has to be in the subjuntivo presente. So I have to put it in this specific verb tense. Okay? Sair is an irregular verb, so it would have to be something like eu espero que você saia. Let me do like this. Eu espero que você saia à noite. Okay? So, if I see one of the other expressions, we saw also the expression eu espero. So, let's see. Espero is the one we already used. So, eu acredito. So, eu acredito que ele... imagine I want to complete the blanket with the verb ficar, to stay. So I believe he will stay here. Okay? So as we discussed, we saw that in this sentence we have the expression eu acredito que. So I know that the verb that comes after que has to be in the subjuntivo presente. Then we will have eu acredito que ele fique aqui. Eu acredito que ele fique aqui. Okay? Just for you to understand how it works. So if you see one of these expressions, eu espero que, eu acredito que, talvez, or tomara que, you will put the verb which comes after it in the subjuntivo presente. Even more clear, we have another important thing. Can you notice that in most of these expressions we have the word que repeating? This is the most important thing. The word que, guys, is normally a word that will demand the next verb to be in the subjuntivo presente. So if you see the word que, and then you have another sentence, another clause being composed, né? Another phrase, another clause actually, right? This next verb will probably have to be in the present subjunctive. So you have two clues. You can check the expression. One of these ones will be in the presente do subjuntivo. I have to explain these guys for you like this because actually we don't have a specific word like que, which will demand the presence of the subjuntivo presente. Otherwise, would be a little bit harder for you to understand as we don't have an equivalence between these two tenses, okay? So, are you all right? I know it's intense, but I hope you have understood. And just for us to finish, because we are already together for something around 1 hour, let's check the video. What was in the subjuntivo presente? So I'll just go to the specific time in the video where they use the subjuntivo presente. So pay attention because it's something that the Dr. Varela says, okay? So pay attention here, guys. I'll just put the small part where he says it. If you have the transcriptions, you can use it. If you don't have, I'll just show you, okay? If the sound is not the best one for you. But let's try it again, just a small piece of it.
Pessoas alegres, para cima, otimistas, né, que contam perto de pessoas alegres, né?
Sorry.
Da questão, Astrid. Primeiro, a gente gosta de estar perto de pessoas alegres, né? Pessoas alegres, para cima, otimistas, né, que contem piadas, que a gente dê risada perto deles. A gente tem prazer de estar do lado de gente assim.
Okay? Could you get it? I know it's not easy because the sound is not the best, but let me show you guys. What is that he says? It's in here, guys. So check this part of this transcription. If you have it, you can check on your own material. Dr. Varela says, eu acho que são dois. He was talking about the situations that are in this situation. So, eu acho que são dois. I think it's two. Tem dois lados essa questão, Astrid. There are two sides of this situation, Astrid, which is the other host. First, a gente gosta de estar perto de pessoas alegres, né? So first, we like to be close to happy people, right? Pessoas alegres, pra cima, otimistas. So happy people, optimistics, right? Which tell piadas, jokes, who tells jokes that we like to laugh around them. We have pleasure to be side by side with people like this. So here, guys, we have two verbs being used in the subjuntivo presente, okay? This sentence here, although it seems to be one of the situations we were just talking about, it is not. Eu acho que it's not one of the expressions we just saw. Remember? Let me show you in here. They were eu espero que, I hope so, I hope that, sorry, I hope that, I believe that, I hope that, I wish that, and maybe. These were the expressions, and they all convey this meaning of hoping for something, that expecting for something, or wishing something, or talking about possibility in the case of maybe, right? Um, in this case, when he uses the word acho, which can be translated in this case to think, we are not talking about wishes, okay? About hypothesis. Actually, this is the verb to think in Portuguese, achar, in the sense of giving an opinion, showing what I think about the situation. Okay, it's not about hypotheses, about in the sense of possibilities, of wishes. Okay, it's just showing my thought. Okay, I think that, just that. It's not the expression like I hope that, projecting something for future or for happening at this time. Okay, so it's not this case. Let's look for more expressions or for the word que. In this line we can't see them in this line either, but here we can see the word que. And in this case we do have following que a verb in the subjuntivo presente. Because when we talk, maybe we don't talk in a very organized way, but what's he's saying here is we like to be close to people that do something, right? Let me just, yeah. So here we have people that tell jokes, okay? Because of this que over here, we have the verb contar in the subjuntivo presente, okay? And here we have the word que again. And then we have a new subject. They are using a gente, okay? Here we can imply that the subject were people, pessoas alegres, pessoas que contem piada, ok? And in this case, he's saying que a gente, pessoas que a gente, people that we laugh around them. That's what he's saying, right? So because of que in here, we use this verb here to give also in the subjuntivo presente, okay? So I just wanted to show you these specific situations where we can see the use of the subjuntivo presente in a very natural conversation. As you can see, it's not a formal thing to be used, it's regular, but we just have to follow these small rules. We can just pay attention to those expressions or to the use of the word que that can demand the use of the subjuntivo presente, okay? Because pay attention to the sense, he's talking about a hypothesis that we normally are more likely to be surrounded to people who are happy, who are optimistic. So as here talking about this hypothesis of people who behavior this way, this is the kind of situation which allows us to use the subjuntivo presente, right? So we have the sense of hypothesis, possibilities, and also the word que, demanding the need of the subjuntivo presente. Okay? Well, guys, woo! That's it. I suggest you to practice a lot the use of the subjuntivo presente because, as I told you, it's a very used verb tense. Of course, we can do more classes about it. We can practice more. We can think about some exercises to make to really master the use of this. This is a first contact with this verb tense, and I wanted to show you how to put a verb in the subjunctive present, how to recognize the situations where we can use it, and what are the expressions that normally appears with it. So it was quite a lot, but what I wanted was to show you like a general panorama, you know, of the subjunctive presente. That's what I try to do. But we have to practice more, and we have to see this verb tense in other situations for this to be more clear for you guys, right? So I hope you have enjoyed this class. I know it's tough, it's not easy, because when we talk about this verb tense, it's very simple, but I tried to make it the simplest way I could for you. And don't hesitate to ask me questions, so you can use the chat over here. Of course, you can also send messages to us through here, to Instagram, our Instagram account, or through Facebook, and we can always try to answer your questions. And also you can demand classes of specific topics. We normally open for you to ask these questions, because then we can provide you some content which are useful for you, right? And I guess that's it, but let me see, because we have a question here. Will you use this with I wish? That's it. When we have I wish in English, I wish that you would be, I wish that you will be fine, I wish that something happened. Even though I'm not using exactly the correct verb tense in English, I believe that's the right correspondence. If you use I wish, then you would have in Portuguese these expressions like tomara que, eu espero que, eu acredito que, and then the verb in the subjuntivo presente. That's it. The expression I wish would be equivalent to these expressions I showed you, and then you would have to put the verb that comes after it in the subjuntivo presente. That's it. Charles is, if you are a beginner, do things on your own time. Practice more the verb tenses from the indicative form, but then you can face the subjunctive in the future, right? I would recommend that. Practice more the verb tenses from the indicative, which are more used, and then you go to the ones from the subjunctive, okay? But it's awesome for you to just know it already and recognize it, right? When someone says it. Thank you. Eu desejo... let's complete the sentence. So, Ginny saying, eu desejo que você... She said in English, I wish you sweet dreams. In this case, literally, I could just say, eu desejo a você... Let me put it here. Eu desejo a você doces sonhos, right? In this case, literally what you just said in English, we don't have a verb after the expression I wish, eu desejo, right? But I can change the sentence a little bit to just put a verb in the subjunctive, like this. Eu desejo que você tenha doces sonhos, okay? So in this case, we have the expression with the word que, which is the real thing that demands the subjuntivo presente, with exception of the word talvez, right? And then because of this expression and the word que, if I put a verb in here, like the verb ter, to have, this has to be in the subjuntivo presente, okay? Eu desejo que você tenha doces sonhos. Eu desejo que você tenha doces sonhos. Ou eu desejo a você doces sonhos. Ok? But just to make this sentence more Brazilian, we are not so likely to say doces sonhos. We are more likely to say eu desejo a você ótimos sonhos. Eu desejo que você tenha ótimos sonhos. Ok? So, that's it, guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget to share this live with other people and give us a like if you liked the content. And continue to tell us what you want to know more about Portuguese, and we'll try to provide it to you. Okay? Thank you very much for being here with me tonight. It was awesome, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And see you soon. Ciao, ciao.